Here's Neil.
Hello, everybody. That was my sidekick, Glenn Wells. And I'm no Johnny Carson, that's for darn sure. But I am Neil Magnuson, and I'm the host of the THC Show. And we're coming to you today for, our 200th and some odd show.
217.
217, I'm told. And it's all about THC, truth, hope, and change. And about, the war on THC and people who would like to use THC and all that stuff. That's what we talk about here. And we are basically following the journey of the Cannabis Substitution Program as it winds its way through the courts and the authorities and what have you, to try to get legitimacy for cannabis consumers and a marketplace that includes low barrier access. So that's what we're kind of all about here. On the show today, we will have 8 out of 10 Glenn, as always, for the 420 session. We'll be talking a bit about the Healing Wave CSP Ganja Mobile, a little bit of the out of town CSP and what's going on there, and just kind of bring you up to speed on the current events of the day. The harassment by the city has stopped, so that's good. It's been a good 3 weeks now since we've had any interference from the city. Apparently it was just about moving away from the building that we were in front of, just on the other side of the lane there. A bunch of older Asian people, some of whom may well have had the ear of the mayor on that one. And so they've designated the parking spots in front of that space to be passenger only. But the engineers that were here talking to me about it, and I agreed with that move, by the way. I think that it's right that those people have access to the front of their building to be picked up by their handy darts and things like that. And it's also important to have some spaces that would be like that, passenger only, where you can only drop off and pick up, so that if emergency vehicles need to come and attend to things, which they have on many occasions here, unlike those occasions, at this point, maybe they'll have a place to park. So I'm in favor of all of that. And they simply moved us just to the other side of the lane, or said that we could have that place over there. And so far, so good. I am moving the RV every night at this point, because we were also getting tickets for parking an oversized vehicle after 10 p.m., which apparently is a thing in Vancouver. I've been here all my life. I never heard about that. And I think it's a more recent thing where they're trying to move people away that have been parked in RVs, randomly throughout the city. And I think that that's what that's all about, and they've just used it against us. So, and like I said, there's been no more harassment about that. I only got the 2 tickets for that. And once that happened, of course, I started moving it every night, which is a good thing to do, I think. I mean, I used to move it, and then I decided, may as well leave it here or whatever, because it was so hard to get a parking spot in the morning. But moving it at night means that it's not here susceptible to break-in, after 10 o'clock or whatever. That's typically around the time that I move it. But here we have 2 nights ago at 9 o'clock at night, the same guy as last time, because we have video surveillance on the RV, once again smashed the driver's door side window with his skateboard this time, not a bag of rocks. And 50 seconds later, he emerged from the RV with a small bag, a cloth bag of something that he had found in there. I don't know what there would have been. We try not to leave anything in there. But, certainly this neighborhood has its costs, that's for sure. And we'll just continue to roll with the punches as they come in and do what it takes to continuing on. And once again, I'll get that side window replaced and give some work to the glass place and keep the economy going.
Buy local.
Let me just check on my phone and see if I can tell you the dates for our court case coming up, because that's the next thing that's sort of in the news here for us. And no, I don't have that yet. He's going to send it to us, but we do have court dates set. I just don't know what they are yet. I know that they're in the summertime coming up next year. So it won't be that long a wait. Time goes pretty fast, and we'll be able to drag Health Canada into court and provide the public with some insight into what's going on with them, because I'm sure that they're going to expose themselves, and we're going to do a good job of exposing them as well, for being criminally negligent in their duties to provide a license to an organization like ours, a citizens initiative that has effectively answered the call of the public health emergency with people dying and overdosing in mass numbers. We have been able to demonstrate for nearly 7 years now that what we're doing is not only effective, but one of the best harm reduction interventions that there is. We are really providing people with what is the safe supply, which is cannabis in the form of edibles, and other forms as well. The concentrates and the flowers are also beneficial, and many people, that's all they need. But for the most part, where our big success is in assisting people through withdrawal with the supplying of the higher dose edibles than what you can get in the government stores. 10 milligrams just won't do it for people that have been involved for long periods of time with heavy narcotics and opioids and other things. And so the edibles do. You can eat the right amount if you start low and go slow, and don't overdo it, because that's the big problem that people have when they're trying to do that, is they don't know what their tolerance is, and nobody can know. You don't know until you get right in there and start trying them. And so you got to start at a low dose and move up slowly from there, and until you get to that place where you've had enough. Maybe you've had a little bit too much, and now you know where that limit is. So we've been providing that for people. It's done a great job of helping these people get through the withdrawals, which is the real big barrier to getting off of those hard drugs. Let me tell you, it's not a desire for the effects of those drugs, other than the fact that they stave off withdrawal by continuing on to do them. But it's not that people are continuing to do them because they love the effect that those drugs are having on them. The drugs, after a while, cease to be of much advantage with respect to killing pain. They're more just about staving off the sickness and the physical misery of withdrawal. And so that the vast majority of people that we encounter here on the downtown east side of Vancouver that are struggling with addiction is that they just can't get through withdrawal. They would like to get off those drugs. They've got their names down for some treatment somewhere, some detox somewhere. Sometimes they have the wherewithal to make it there on time. Even when they do, there's not a large number that are finding effectiveness within the treatment and the detox. It isn't long before they're right back where they were before. So giving them an alternative to just getting off of those drugs in the form of the cannabis, edibles, and concentrates is really the ticket. That's what is allowing people to live on after their addiction in healthy ways, and in ways that don't involve the hard drugs. So shame on the government for not supporting what we're doing. It might be just me, maybe I'm the big barrier to the government deciding that they're going to support what we're doing here, because maybe I've spent too much of my time over the last 25 years being upset with the government and exposing the corruption involved in the attempted prohibition of cannabis for all this time. And I've been a little bit relentless on that front, rally after rally after rally, interview after interview. And maybe they just don't want to give in to me personally. So, I mean, perhaps we should have another face to this organization, but nobody has stepped forward yet to be that. And in the meantime, I am the one that is able to speak to these things in the ways that are effective for the most part. Not that anybody else can't do that, and most of my staff are pretty good. But here we are. I'm still leading the charge, and come hell or high water, by hook or by crook, we are going to get access to cannabis that makes sense for people, reasonable access for people that are struggling with poverty. It makes no sense. Well, it makes money, and I guess that makes sense. I mean, when you want to think of the logistics, both of prohibition and the so-called fake legalization that we have going on in Canada, it's all centered around money for sure. And that is when it starts making sense, is when you realize that there's been a huge amount of money that's been spent on cannabis at roughly $10 a gram, thousands of dollars per pound for a long, long time here. Prohibition's been going on in Canada for just over 100 years. It was 100 years ago in January that the Minister Belland, a Liberal minister backbencher, got up and said that there was a new drug in the schedule, and they didn't even announce what it was. They just wrote it down, and cannabis became illegal in Canada. And they've just spent such an immoral amount of time, money, and police resources and court resources and all the rest of it on the attempt to annihilate cannabis from the marketplace to protect the interests of the government itself with their monopoly on alcohol, but also the fossil fuel providers, because cannabis in its industrial form is one of the best sources of biofuels on the planet, and on and on and on it goes. It's just been so corrupt for so long, and here we are. We've come to the point where the government felt the pressure of the public to legalize cannabis, and the Liberal government, decimated in the previous election, ran on a platform of legalizing for all adults cannabis, and they won a majority on that lead in their platform. But what they implemented was more a system of a side-by-side operation of government-supplied, monopolized cannabis through licensed producers paying fees to the government, and people allowed to access and possess cannabis as long as it came through legal sources, either a government store, or for those provinces where they did allow what the federal government suggested, which was four plants per household. If you have that cannabis on you, you are legal and you're all good. If you got it off the government store, you've already paid your fine up front when you bought it, so you're all good. They're going to leave you alone. But right alongside of that form of so-called legalization is the continued prohibition of cannabis on anybody that would operate outside of the government cartel. So if you're growing cannabis and trying to sell it to people, you're still sought after by the criminal law with even harsher penalties, more fines, more money being spent on tracking you down than there was before we had legalization. So the whole apparatus of prohibition is still operating in effect. All those people are still getting huge amounts of tax dollars to do what they do to prevent access to cannabis from people who don't want to use the government system. Highly immoral and just plain wrong to begin with. And so what that does is the opposite of what we had been doing as a movement to try to legalize cannabis properly, where we put the medical people's needs first. We were the first, or they were the first ones on our minds all the time, is these poor people that are sick and are using cannabis to help with their sickness and to help them feel better and to stay alive. For those people to be considered criminals for using cannabis to help with their epilepsy or their MS or whatever else was going on with them was so wrong, was just so criminal, that's what really motivated most of the activists to try to get legalization, was those people that needed it the most. And so the legalization that we've been given does the opposite. It provides cannabis to the rich, the people that can afford it, and it still is a complete nightmare for those people that need to have larger amounts of cannabis, the higher dose of edibles than what the government offers, and they need to have it at prices that make sense for them, because most people that are sick and struggling are also struggling financially, because it's difficult to make income when you're not feeling good. So the government did the exact opposite of what we had been calling for with respect to legalization, and that's why the fight is far from over. Legalization has also not really panned out for many of the people that got involved with it. So if you were getting involved with legalization by buying shares in the companies, well, that's been a huge disaster. You were one of the big losers in legalization, along with the medical people. The people that are at the tops of those corporations that went public and sold shares, they took in many, many millions of dollars. But the value of those shares held by the shareholders has plummeted to the point where if in 2019 you bought $10,000 worth of Canopy Growth shares, Right now, you're holding a whopping $118. Don't spend it all in one place. So, that is a huge, huge loss for people that embraced legalization. I know many people that invested in legalization thought that what they were doing was assisting legalization. They wanted to support the government legalization, not realizing, most of them, that they were still throwing the medical community under the bus. 419, you got 1 minute, I got 1 minute. So what we're going to do in court coming up, we'll give you those dates as soon as we got them, is we're going to drag the government into the public forum, and we're going to expose what it is that they're really fighting for. We're going to figure out exactly what it is that they're motivated about, because there's been no indication in any way, shape, or form throughout this whole process of dealing with them. It's been over 3 years now that the CSP has been dealing with Health Canada, because all we need is a piece of paper with a signature on it coming from Health Canada, allowing us to do what we're doing here, and then the city will give us a piece of paper with their signature on it, and we can be in a storefront like all other real human beings, instead of being like half human beings, relegated to the outer skirts of the elements, and having to go through what looks like another winter in an RV, and people lined up in the freezing cold and the snow and the rest of it. So that's all we've been looking for. That's all it would take. But according to Health Canada, nothing from them about whether or not this is saving people's lives and bettering people's lives that are struggling, which for us is what it's all about. On their end, the only communications we've had that talk to what their motivations are is that they're trying to protect these government stores, and that we would be unfair competition for the government stores because of the high prices that they're charging there. And really, I mean, most of the people that are going to access cannabis low barrier are people that aren't going to access the government stores anyway. They don't have the money for it. And for sure, some people that are getting from the government, or at least from those higher barrier stores, higher priced stores, because they're going to continue on. There will be some people that would go into the lower barrier stores and purchase there. But for the most part, there's an attractiveness to cannabis. There's an attractiveness to having the best cannabis. And people want that. And if there's $25 a gram cannabis available in the government store, and it's all pretty and fancy and nicely lit and all the rest of it, there will be a substantial amount of people that are going to go and pay that, so they can say that they paid that, so they can feel like they paid that, and that must be some special cannabis at $25 a gram. And talking about special cannabis, 420 is here, and that means Sir Glenn Wells is here.
Hey, Mr. Magnuson.
You could set my clock to you.
Yeah, almost.
Not to me particularly.
All right, so now we got to do some camera moving here.
Of course, multitasking as always.
I think that should get us both in there.
So I was going to light this.
Well,
I was going to light this, but
no, we got different plans for you, because somebody says he wants to do less smoking.
This might be the dawn of a new era of cannabinoid ingestion for the
All right, let's see, does that work better?
I think we're good.
I look a little red-faced.
You are a little red-faced.
I don't know why.
You've been laughing too hard.
I'm not really.
Glenn takes it to heart.
Yeah, really.
My mantra of having as much fun as you can.
That must be something with the camera.
Even before the lights and the cameras come on, we have as much fun as we can. So
yes.
I think you've. So we do our best, that's for sure.
All right. So
here, what are I doing, Glenn?
You're going to do a dab. We've been talking about you doing dabs. You say you want to do less smoking. You want to do something a little bit healthier. So here you go. This is a dab. I bought that for you.
That is so beautiful.
Quartz bowl, everything.
Look at that.
Adam supplied the torch for you and the carb cap, which will go on top like, oh, no, he brought one that was too big.
Well, thank you, guys. I have no idea what I did to deserve any of this. I haven't given nobody nothing.
Well, it's a healthier
some
way.
Diseases along the way.
It's a healthier way of doing it, right? So we got some juicy fruit here for you.
Oh, thank you for being worried about my health.
Yes. Well,
somebody needs to be.
So we're going to do it the same way.
And so you...
Yes. We'll do it. So we're gonna put the dab in there. We're gonna warm it up, and then we'll take the torch away, and you'll be able to do a dab.
Does Pat Warnicki's thing work with?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Pat.
But they're making new ones because apparently they put the wrong microchip in them. The Dabster. You're
The
talking about
Dabster, yes,
Dabster.
the
Yes.
Dabster.
All right.
That is going to be one hell of a great machine when they get it right.
It is.
The
Hey,
Dabster
Peterborough.
allows you
Hey, Andrea.
The Dabster allows you to dab without overheating the product, which is a big problem. You don't want to do that. That's not a good way to dab for a number of different reasons, including your health. So the Dabster is the future, and maybe I'll have one to demonstrate that with for you, because I don't mind giving plugs to things that work and to friends of mine that care and that are putting together things to help people have a better experience. So that's great.
All right, so
in the meantime,
we're going to teach you how to do a cold start dab.
A cold start?
Yeah, cold start dab, because this way you won't have to worry about having it to cool. It's too big.
What's too big?
The carb cap's too big.
Oh, is it?
We could still just hold it there for a minute, and it would probably do its job, right?
Because it has to be a seal so the smoke will go down.
It's almost a seal.
Almost
a seal.
All right.
Do we have another carb cap here?
Not with me, no.
No, okay.
I don't think anyone there. I think they're.
No, you couldn't.
Well, that'll work. That might work. Yes.
What?
Yeah, because
upside down.
It'll already be gone.
We just want the seal part to seal that, man. That'll probably work that way, right?
But what about the stuff you put in there? It'll already be gone by the time you put that in?
Well, it's going to be liquid by then, right?
So you don't want to put the liquid onto that, do you?
No, but you can just clean it with an alcohol pad when you're done.
All right.
Right?
You know, I'm Parkway over there.
Yeah, okay. So I think this will probably work.
Like so.
Yeah, all right. So we're going to do this. Throw it.
I honestly think he was better off with the top the other way.
Yeah, okay.
You can make a seal out of it.
All right, yeah. I'm going to cold start it, so I need to be holding it without it dropping or moving or anything, right? I guess as long as it's sitting still.
By cold start, you mean you're going to just put the dab in there?
Yes, we're not going to heat up the bowl first.
Yeah, we're going to heat up the bowl second.
Yes, so that this way you don't have to wait for it to cool down.
But we want to do that too, because I want to show people.
We can do both ways.
There's people out there that want to learn with me on this.
Sure. Okay.
And I want to show them that how much you heat up the bowl and why you do that to that temperature, and then how you let it cool down and why you do that. And that's the real way to do it. I don't see anybody doing cold dabs. This is probably for novices.
No, cold dabs are great because you won't get the part that's going to make you cough. If it's really, really hot, you're going to cough.
No, I don't want it really, really hot.
Plus, if it's a little bit cooler, you get a lot more of your taste.
Yes.
That's the voice of God, by the way.
Yeah. And I know about my dabs too. Yeah, you're going to get more flavor this way, and you won't have to wait for it. And as soon as you see the smoke, you inhale, and you're only going to take a little bit. Right, you're not going to take something like mine.
And the rest is going to go off into the
it'll stay in there because it's basically a bowl, a pot. It's just sitting. I'm not going to burn it.
Let's do it and see. That's the best way.
All right, ready?
So do I put it to my mouth first, or
no?
Oh, you want to do that?
Well, no, because I don't want to burn them.
That makes sense.
Oh, you're going to burn me.
Let's go to the side. Yeah, that's right.
So when it starts to smoke.
Once I melted it and it starts to smoke, then you can inhale just a little bit.
It's now melting.
Now it's melting.
Now it's boiling.
Okay, there you go.
Now
no, you got to keep the cap on.
I got to keep the cap on.
Yeah. There you go. A little bit.
There's a hole on that. There's a shotgun on that carb cap too.
I got it.
No, there's one on the side.
On the carb. Oh.
Let it out. Yeah. Not bad.
That's good.
That's good. Tasty. That's why you do a cold start. You get a nice taste. So now you can do it again. Because it's sitting there, right? It's not going anywhere.
But I might not need to do it.
You might not. Here comes the cough. Yep, here comes the cough.
Is that the juicy fruit?
Yeah, that is. That's the juicy fruit.
One of the tastiest extracts I've tasted in a long time.
That's a very tasty extract.
You feel warmth coming on, like from the concentrates, like from the dab.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, usually first time you get a little bit of warmth, like
I am able to be suggested to at this point.
Hit it so cool, Gary says. Yeah, damn right. Hello from sunny Arizona. Nice. And Peterborough, too. Yeah,
beautiful machine.
There you go. He just did his very first dab.
That was the voice of God, Adam.
Adam, he provided
named his son after himself, as you know.
Right.
So the dad's here. And thank you so much for your contribution to all of this.
Well, I called him last night and said, hey, we need a carb cap and a torch. And I knew he'd be the right person.
That's why I didn't tell you why you called me last night. Because I told you that you called me last night.
You did mention that.
Yeah.
I let it.
Yeah, that's good.
You guys can talk after hours.
You want to finish that?
Sure.
All right, put your cap back on there.
Okay, back to work.
Yeah.
Try to get both of these sink holes.
And then once you're done, you clean it up with your.
I do have another one I can bring you though.
Do you? All
Yeah,
right.
it's a little rubber ducky.
All right, try that.
Is it?
Yeah, keep it capped.
Just go.
There you go. Yeah. And then when you're done, you take your Q-tip, suck it up.
You sure you got it all?
Oh yeah.
No, he's talking about inside. No, you didn't get it all.
But this stops it from getting your
Like
bowl.
out of your dick.
Yeah. Stops it from getting your bowl all black. There you go. All right. He's officially he's not a virgin anymore.
I have dabbed before.
You have dabbed before. Well, there you go.
Not
Now
very
you have your
often.
own pipe, a quartz bowl. You have
Never
a spare
had
one
no-
back there in case it breaks.
Never had my own pipe.
No.
Have not dabbed very often.
Well, there you go.
We will see.
All right. But do you feel like medicated, like if you had smoked a
I
joint?
feel too medicated.
Too medicated, yes. No, it's
Too
just two
medicated.
tiny dabs.
Right.
That's why we have the line, a dab will do ya. Right?
Well,
Because one dab is equivalent, basically, in my terms, to smoking one joint to yourself. So now you don't have to have all that smoke.
I'm not sure I get this high off of smoking a whole joint to myself.
You did 2 dabs,
There you go.
right? So as I said, 1 dab makes you feel like you smoked a joint to yourself.
I see.
So it's much better for you. You're getting medicated longer. You're going to find out that it's not going to be gone in 20 minutes. It's going to last about an hour. So you're doing less, and you only have to do 1 dab, and you feel
Okay, well,
medicated.
I need to hold the joint in my hand.
Smoke the joint too. I'd do
No, I'm
that.
gonna just hold. I don't need no more.
You don't need no more. Right?
No.
Can you do the show still?
Are we doing a show?
Oh yeah.
Hi everybody.
Kato the cat's gonna fill in for Neil.
We'll do the show because we'll just keep sitting here. We'll just keep sitting here and we'll keep chatting because I ain't getting out of the show anytime soon.
No, you got 2 hours to go. We're no less than 2 hours.
Oh, it must not be 2 hours.
No.
It'll just seem like more than 2 hours.
It's 4:30. You got an hour and a half to go. Another 90 minutes.
So this feels a lot.
Yeah,
What was I saying?
this feels a lot.
This feels a lot like it felt at Greg Williams' house the first time that I smoked butter.
Really, eh? Wow, that's good.
No.
Yes, it is. Yes, because you're used to this then. That's why it's good.
Well, what
right?
happened at Greg's house was I took 2 dabs,
Yeah,
although I think they were called globs.
globs, yeah.
Before they called them globs. They were calling them dabs,
Oh,
but
nice.
in the time after that, when we came to understand what a dab was, pretty much those were globs. So I got 2 humongous glob hits. The second one only because I was not in my right mind after the first one. I was like, whoa, like what the heck was that? And he's get back over here because I'd stumbled backwards a little bit. He says you can't be flying around on just one wing. I remember him saying that. And then next thing I know, he's got shoved in my face again, and I'm taking back another one. At that point, I stumbled back onto the couch.
Yeah.
And that's about where I stayed for hours, and this is about how I felt when I was there. Anybody who knows me knows that when I go to a party, I don't typically just sit on a couch for a couple of hours. I walk around.
Gary Gilbreth said he's never tried that. He's
Never tried a dab.
Never tried it out. Like we're saying, it medicates you quicker. You don't have to smoke this whole joint. And one dab will make you feel like you've just smoked that to yourself. So, and it's a vapor, not a smoke. So it's much better for you. It will make you cough in the beginning.
Definitely, I think. Well, I don't know.
What?
Well, you know, the
I
reason
still
that
smoke
I
joints.
I haven't been smoking.
I still smoke joints.
I know, but I'm saying it's just taking me a little while to get it out.
Yeah.
I know you're used to me getting things out quicker. It's all your fault. But no, I have been noticing that my throat gets a little bit harshed by smoking weed after all these years.
And now, how's
and
it
so
feel
that's
after?
why I thought maybe a dab would be better than that. You know, I coughed a few times afterwards, and that harshed my throat.
Yeah.
The coughs. I don't typically cough when I'm smoking a joint.
Okay.
So I need to do a little smaller dabs to
Yeah, because you just think it was like a bong, and that's normal because your brain would normally just want to take in the smoke because that's normally what you would do, and you've been doing for all these decades. That's why we were telling you just a little bit, right? Because you want to go, oh, it's a pipe, blow it out, but you don't want to do that with a dab, right?
I mean, my first instincts here are that I want to keep smoking.
Yeah.
It's not about how high I am, because with respect to how high I am, I don't want to keep smoking.
You're done.
And I'm a little bit like laid back at this point, so I'm not energetic enough to like reach out and grab my lighter even.
I got a lighter for you. You need a light?
It's sitting right here.
I know, that one right there.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it because I don't need to be any higher. I think the point of using this thing is to not smoke as much weed.
Yeah.
So I don't think I want to just smoke weed because I want to have the
so
physical movement and occupation of enjoying a joint, which is it's a 5 or 10 minute experience that is back and forth. There's numerous puffs. With every puff, there's some new revelation. No, it's a, I don't know. Like I say, on first blush, I kind of like a continuous smoking session that sort of satisfies that side of things. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't want to now just have, over the course of 10 minutes, 4 or 5 more hits of that.
No.
Or
no, you don't really need to. That's why the dabs are better.
No, this is really like it's slowed down my whole being.
Yeah, that's good for you.
I'm kind of like twice as heavy as I was before I took the dab with respect to being in this chair.
Okay.
I can feel the weight of gravity pulling on me.
Mm-hmm. Do you need some water?
Probably, but
you want me to go get your water? Is there water in the fridge?
Yeah, I have water right here.
You got water right there? Okay,
yeah.
Good.
I'm fast.
There you go. Or would you like a tea or something? Get Casey to make you a tea?
I got the last tea that Casey made me. She put a bunch of stuff in it. It looked like like the bottom. They're all on the bottom. On the bottom, it looked like this undersea world of anemone and different things growing. It was all very sort of yellowy, gray stuff. The tea itself was golden in color. And then I had some. That was pretty good. And I put it in the fridge to, for overnight. And then yesterday we took it out. I said, "Do you think this would still be good?" And she said, "Oh, probably. It's been in the fridge,
Yeah.
It's in a jar. It's in a really nice clear jar, so you can see it. It looks like somebody put together a little aquatic world in there. There could be little things swimming around. There probably is, but you just can't see them.
Probably is, yeah.
So we heated it up, and then I went to have a drink. Well, half of this stuff had all risen to the top, and then slowly we watched as all the rest of it rose to the top. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
I got a little bit in my mouth when I was drinking it. It was pretty hot. But it had that slimy sort of, and I thought they were mushrooms. And I said, "These aren't psychedelic mushrooms, in here." And she goes, "No, that's not mushrooms. It was other things." I don't have her tell you what they were. But other plant things.
But she's an apothecary, right? So
she has the
and spices and stuff.
I don't know if it's a downtown east side apothecary. I don't think it is. She's got another name for it. It hasn't been announced yet, but she's going to have a really, really cool shop here.
Nice.
That's going to really complement what we do.
Yeah.
It's going to offer healing teas and other alternatives in the natural form to some of the drugs that people are having trouble with in their drug use.
Okay.
And she's got a really good plan to how to help people with these things. She's got other really smart people with degrees. She's got lawyers. She's got a lot of people that are really interested in her take on, and we're going to interview her again and talk to her about that stuff.
Yeah.
On the other ways to help people that are struggling the way that we're helping them with cannabis. We're very cannabis centric here. We do have mushrooms for people because that's also a real tool in the war to combat addiction and the drivers of addiction. For the most part, the drivers of addiction are like depression, lack of sleep. I'm not as quick as I was.
That's good. That's
slowed
good.
Right down.
Yeah, maybe this will help you go to sleep at night. right? That's to get you to this
Might do
relaxed
that.
point, right, where it's going to help you. Yeah, if that works.
But I have no trouble sleeping.
Yeah, well, sometimes you do. You said sometimes you've fallen asleep, you wake up again or whatever. No.
No, the trouble I'm having sleeping is my alarm keeps going off.
Oh, it doesn't. You can fix that. It's called power down. No, alarms.
It wouldn't fix things for very long in my life if I didn't respond to the alarms.
I know. Oh wow!
And the reason this is the case is because I have to have my alarm go off at 5 o'clock in the morning so that I can get up and get that taxi that I prearranged for 5:30, and then I get to where my RV is, and then hopefully it starts. And I can get it back here and get it put in place of my car, which has all night been holding the spot for the RV, and have a place for my car. And if I wait until after 6, then there's no spot for my car.
Oh, wow.
So I can put the RV where my car is, and I park it strategically with not quite enough room for people to get in behind it where the lane is, so that, that gives me enough space for the RV.
Could you ride that? Could you not ride a bike to the RV, put the bike in the RV, and drive the RV back? There's a bike. There's a bike right there.
That still wouldn't get me a spot. The bike is no different than the taxi.
No, but your van would be in the spot. You could just move the van.
The van is in the spot.
Yes.
I don't drive the van to the RV. I take a cab.
Oh, you take the cab. Oh, I see.
No, the bike would just be a replacement for the cab.
Yeah, so save some money.
It would get me some exercise and save a bit of money.
And save a bit of money too, right? And
$20 a day.
There you go, right? But I'm not just because that bike would fit in the back of the RV, so you just drive it back. Why not? I can see it getting out. Get some exercise first thing in the morning.
You're projecting, Glenn.
I know.
You're projecting your youthfulness onto this old man here.
Oh.
And I'm not young anymore. And I'm not stupid either because, I stabbed myself in the hand there. That was pretty stupid, I think. But
What'd you do?
Well,
you're cutting something?
It's your fault.
It's my fault.
Oh, everything is always your fault.
Of course.
That's why you're the producer.
That's why,
Somebody has to take the blame.
If you need something done, ask me to do it because it'll be my fault.
If you need a responsible person, this is the guy. And in this case, I stabbed myself in the hand, and apparently he's responsible.
I wasn't even here.
Oh, no, your powers go well beyond your physical being.
There you go.
They'll go far into the future, and they go for miles around. I hear you're even an influence down in New Zealand and places like that.
Yes. Somebody named Gazer.
So what it is Glenn, and here it is, this is how the story starts.
Broke it again?
No.
There's a crack in it.
He was so nice to provide me, at a really reasonable price based on what these things are worth, with his phone when he got a better phone. And so the thing is that it needed a case to protect it that was bigger and more than what my original case on my original phone was. So the piece of steel that's supposed to go inside the case doesn't work inside the case. The case is too thick.
Oh.
So I took some Gorilla Glue.
What piece of steel? You mean this?
No, this.
So
I got a magnetic thing in my car that puts the phone right there, and I wouldn't live without it. Believe me, I don't want.
Mine just.
I got no place else for. That's where it's supposed to go, is inside the case. But in my case, for whatever reason, not powerful enough to hold my phone on when I go over a bump. I go over a bump and ba-bump, my phone goes.
I see what you're saying.
Easy, simple solution, right? Just get some Gorilla Glue and glue the thing on the outside of the thing, and Bob's your uncle. And so that's what I had going on.
Yeah.
Now, recently I had an incident where I got out of the taxi cab. See, it all goes back to the city harassing me.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
And I'm moving the RV every night now, and I'm bringing it back every morning. Well, when I got back in the morning, I get out of the cab. The first thing I do before I get out of the cab is I touch my pocket to make sure it's there, right? Because I've had it fall out and be left in the cab once before.
Yeah.
So I always touch it. So I touched it. I got out of the cab. I took several steps towards the shop. I touched my pocket again, and it wasn't there. And I'm like, what do you mean?
No.
The cab's still just pulling away. I'm like, hey. And I go up to see him, and it's not in his cab. So I turn and look, and there it is on the road. It had fallen out of my pocket. I guess it's for some reason. I don't know what. Maybe when I pulled out my keys, I don't know. I didn't hear it. But there it is sitting on the road as I watch a car's tire drive right over
Oh,
it.
wow.
So back to the repair shop. Thankfully, it's on warranty.
Yeah.
Got it all fixed and everything.
And
But I needed to take the steel thing off of my other case and put it onto the case that wasn't broken because it got driven over by a
that's how
car.
you cut
So
yourself.
I don't understand you. I can't even hold my phone in a way that would do it.
Uh,
But there I was with a sharp knife,
Oh,
just
geez.
working, because Gorilla Glue is really good. And I'm just working it, and then it slips.
I believe nail polish remover will do that for you.
Yeah, it's just I heated it up or something, I don't know. And I stuck that sharp knife right there
Oh, wow.
into that very tender spot.
Yeah, that's a very tender spot, 'cause we use that spot a lot, right?
So my point was, in all of this is that as I've gotten older than Glenn, I've realized that I can get hurt easy, and I don't heal as fast, and so I try to be careful.
Yeah.
I don't do things that are going to get me injured for the most part, because I know what that's like. The slightest little tweak at my age, for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know. I just a little twist.
So how did you break the glass now?
It's not broken.
There's a big, huge crack
what
right
you're
there.
seeing, I don't think that's a crack.
Oh, that's a crack, all right.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a crack, all right. It's going right across the screen. It goes right from
I
here.
think it's a hair.
I can feel it. Maybe you think it's a hair
I
underneath
think
your
it's a hair
screensaver?
underneath the screensaver.
That's a possibility. I never thought of that.
That's what it seems to be. I looked at it really close. I'm, what the heck am I looking
Because I
at?
can feel it. You can sort of feel it. No. Yeah, right there. You can feel it right there. Feel it right there. See?
Yeah, is that just feeling the hair?
Yeah, you might be feeling the hair or the crack.
So the guy that did this for me, I mean, he
Take
was.
it back. Yeah. You should have done that with a hair there. You should have made. They have something that they go on top of it and they clean it off before they put the thing on.
That's what he did.
Yeah,
He did all of
then
that.
that's probably.
But he still might have got a hair under there.
I don't know. I think that's
I
a
don't know.
crack.
Maybe it's a crack.
You got until March.
If I got to go through this again.
You'd have to send it back. It was going to be a third time.
Right.
Yeah, but that's I
think
did
that's
get
a crack.
the Samsung Care Plus for it, so
It's-
you would
it's-
definitely have an extra. Yeah,
Because it has dropped, but not far.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Wow.
And it's got
I guess.
it's got the heavy protective case,
Yeah.
and it's got the this is a screensaver. This was the
Turn
top
the
of the line.
screen on for a minute. Let's turn the light on and see
You
if
don't really
there's
see
a.
it.
Yeah,
much
it
at all.
doesn't see much of a crack.
It's hard
If
to
there was
see.
a cracked screen, there would probably be some interference on the screen of some
Yeah,
sort.
and there might be
So
some
that
light
might
coming
be
out
hair.
of it.
Yeah,
It looks like a hair.
get them to check it out, take it back and say, hey, look, I think you put my screensaver on with a hair. Can you remove this and give me another
Well,
one
I'd
for
say
free?"
hair today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah, or
And
tell them that you want the one for free, you don't want to pay for it because they should have not done that.
If that's what it is, we'll
That's
we'll
what
find
it
out.
is, yeah. And if
Wow,
it's-
we're having a lively educational show here today.
You're getting more lively now. You don't.
I'm feeling a little less.
Yeah, see, it doesn't
you know.
last very long. Right?
Well, you had prepared me for a couple hours here.
Well, no, an hour, about an hour,
Has it
and
been an hour?
we're half.
If it's been an hour,
We've
no, it
been
hasn't
about
been.
half an hour.
You and I have been on 26 minutes since
Yep.
I brought you on.
Yep.
25 because I cheated a little bit.
Yeah,
into the
that's
last
what I'm
section.
just saying. And so it's been about half an hour.
Oh,
So
it's been about 20 minutes. I didn't have a dab right away. We had to talk about it.
true.
I'm a stickler for details.
Oh well, you just do that.
Well, I'm a truth seeker. It's why we have the show.
We're not telling the
It's all about
truth.
finding the truth.
26
No.
minutes we've been on, and we maybe do 24, so it's pretty close to 30.
You
so
think we only
whatever.
talked for 2 minutes about how we were going to do this with the cold thing and the rest of it, and the voice of God coming through there and all
Voice
the
of
rest
God.
of it? I
We're
think
gonna make his
I think
ego
he-
like his head. He won't be able to walk through the door. We keep calling the voice of God. You know.
well, I
You'll
just
have
think
to
he's
walk through
hiding.
the door like this,
I think
sideways instead of this way.
I think that if there is a God, and there's some evidence that there's supernatural stuff going on here, that he would be close to what we're doing here,
Yeah.
and he'd be in plain sight.
Well, because he
But
created
he
the
also
planet.
has that sense of humor, because I believe that about the great creator. And so, the fact that this fellow who doesn't look very godlike is kind of godlike, and his name is Adam. I think that's the cookie that he's put in there for us to kind of realize. Well, yeah, he named the first human after himself, right?
Oh, I
So
see, Adam. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So if he was to date somebody named Eve, he'd be perfect. Adam and Eve.
I don't know where God got the concept of Eve from, but I think he did a really good job of it.
He needs to have a kid named Eve.
In most respects, I think that really, really happy to have that balancing, female aspect to life going on here for sure. I wouldn't want to have a world just full of men, man. That'd be just terrible.
That would be.
Oh,
well,
man.
we couldn't because.
No, you could, of course. God can do anything.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Sure.
But how would we keep the population growing?
Like I say,
men would be able to get pregnant and have babies.
This is some other dimension we're talking about. This is some other reality where the laws of physics are different.
Okay.
And they have a system. God would have designed a system for all of these men to be able to procreate. It's probably a designation thing. You probably volunteer for it unless there's not enough people volunteering for having the baby, in which case you'd be conscripted into the baby army, But,
so instead of Bobby's world, it'd be Neil's world.
Well, there'd be Neils and Bobs all over the place, and no Susan and Marys, and that would be not good at all. I wouldn't like that. I mean, some people might like that, but I wouldn't like that. And not that there'd be anything wrong with liking that. I mean, if that's your ideal world, then I'm, probably good. But there is such a thing, if there was, and it might be, because in trillions of opportunities, boy, oh boy,
you're doing well. You're just doing fine.
We do have business to talk about. We are going to talk about some relevant things here.
Yeah,
we always do, wander off a little bit during these sessions on some of these things.
Right, that's what cannabis does for you. Yeah, you just start talking, and you can talk about anything coming when you're doing your 420 session.
We kind of have our own little version of the contest here every week on the show, where you get to watch people smoking different types of weed and see what happens. This is what happens when you give Neil a dab.
So we can give him homework and see if at previous shows if you have talked less than you are talking now.
I don't believe in giving people any kind of work. It seldom is that way. If they don't think they're playing, then they're not interested for the most part, unless there's big money in it. So I don't have the big money to pay anybody. So it's got to be fun. If you want to have some fun, look into some marijuana statistics. They're fascinating and amazing. And there's other statistics too. And there's other things going on. Like, I don't know who it was. I think it was Carl Sagan that said that, in the complexity of this universe, there's a chance that we're it, that intelligent life arising out of chemical to biological interactions might be just almost near impossible, and we might be all there is. Or maybe life is abundant in the universe, and these types of things happen quite quickly given the right conditions, which exist with radiation and other things. So the other side of it, there could be many intelligent species out there, like lots of them, and his final comment was that either one of those prospects is terrifying. And now it's looking more and more, as we look more and more into signs that there are other intelligences out there. You'd be able to tell in some cases by the chemical signature of the atmosphere around these bodies of mass. But there was a CBC guy on one of the programs yesterday talking about that they've come to understand that the biology of microbial life seems to be fairly simple and easy, given the right parameters and things like that.
Microbes, right?
But to go from microbial life to more complex cellular organisms, and then to end up in an intelligent. Not that the whales and the dolphins and the elephants and all the rest of it aren't intelligent. My God, in their environment, they are geniuses for sure. But we are something different here on this planet. This life that we have, the way that we are able to analyze, to categorize, to write things down, and all the rest of it, record, and so. That seems to be an extremely rare thing to have happen. I think they said 1 in 2 billion chance that a group of microbes would hit the right combination or whatever it took to move it more towards more complex life. So I think for me it's.
Wow, that we made that big jump, right?
That we're here like this. We all take it for granted. This is just the way it was. I mean, this is how you live. You're born the society's the way it
Yeah,
is.
you live up to 100 years,
maybe
or
you're living
maybe
Andy
more.
Griffith's life in the 50s on a farm, or maybe you're born in a Muslim or Buddhist community in a small town somewhere in the Middle East. But for humans, what you're born into is just what you're born into, and you kind of accept it for the most part. And I'm not talking to everybody, obviously. All generalizations are false, including this one, if it was one. And so, in any case, we shouldn't take it for granted, this life that we have. It is a spectacular opportunity to be alive. Even if your plight in life has been to suffer and feel pain, that's amazing too.
I guess.
The strengths that would come out of that, the insights that would come out of that, the inspiration for other people, all these different aspects of everything, just different ways of looking at things. But these minds that we have, what we are as intelligent beings, wow.
Yeah, and whales have bigger minds than we do, right? They're massive brains and stuff. I wonder what's going on in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe soon we'll know.
Shane says the odds are. Oh, hold on, wait. He had something good in here. The whole idea that this was created was a big bang and created this universe, and then there's an infinite universe that's doing infinite number of things. It's just silly. The only thing is provable is that we are the one, because we're here, right?
Well, that's provable.
Yeah.
And the fact that we are surrounded by a vast amount of space.
Yes.
That for some very strange reason is expanding and separating all of the different galaxies within it. So within the galaxies, the expansion of space is not happening. But outside of the galaxies, the expansion of space is separating the galaxies farther and farther apart.
It's like stretching it.
At faster than the speed of light.
Wow.
And the farther away from us that you get, the faster it's expanding. None of that makes any sense at all. And I don't disagree that the multi-universe thing is practically silly because it's so difficult to prove. And actually, they're only coming up with it because of very brilliant people that are using mathematics to punching in how we understand the physics of the universe, which we don't very well, by the way.
Yeah, that's what he just said. He said, actually, the vast amount of space is just something you're speculating on. What we have no proof of that.
Well, we have proof that there is space.
Yeah.
And that it goes out for quite a while. And we can see what's going on there. We have built machines that are able to see that we are in a vast spatial area with many other galaxies like ours, that it's been going on for billions of years. We know all of that. I don't think that is in much of dispute. Whether or not there was a big bang, they say there was a big bang that started it all, but it wasn't even centrally located, which none of that makes any sense. In fact, if you watch, say, Anton Petro on his show, What the Math, every night on YouTube, he does a little 16 to 30 minute segment on what's the newest things from NASA and other things. He's actually
somebody's asking you if you believe that they went to the moon.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
That's what he says. Oh God, you sound like you believe we went to the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think they went to the moon.
I think they could use the Hubble telescope to point it at the moon at the landing spot that the Apollo landed and prove to everybody if they were there or not, just with a simple flick of the switch. So why have this conspiracy theory going on and on again if they could just prove it?
Maybe they can do that. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what they can and cannot do. I don't know what they did and didn't do.
Yeah.
I know that the possibility is that we're all being fooled by a whole bunch of things, especially what we're watching on TV, and that includes the moon landing. But who really knows? I don't know.
Because that thing took off from the moon, so that landing part should still be there on the moon. Their cars should still be on the moon.
I don't know that Webb has the power to focus in that close.
If they can go to that close, well then we can do it from here.
So there's no.
Why not use the one that's right here in Vancouver?
The satellite. What do you mean?
At the McMillan Space Center.
You think that telescope can see that?
To see the moon?
Well, to see things like that on the moon?
Yes. Yes, of course. Come on, this is technology nowadays. If they can zoom in from
Maybe.
satellites on people here and watch what they're doing in their houses, of course we can see what's on the moon. Of course,
The
we
moon
can
is a
see
lot
it.
farther away from us than those satellites are.
Yes,
But, probably they can. I'm not disputing anything.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Glenn.
Yeah.
I don't know what they can and cannot do. I know that they're, from with just the naked eye, that's how they say it, naked eye, from the space station, there's no man-made thing that you can see. You can't see the pyramids. You can't see the Great
No.
Wall of China. There's
No.
no man-made structure
that
that you can see.
Yeah.
But with the aid of powerful telescopes, I'm sure you
can.
can see a lot.
So it would be able to,
So you're right. There's no dark side of the moon, really.
well, there is.
Not
It's
really.
just the side that doesn't
It's
have
not
the
dark.
sun.
It does have sun.
No.
That's the thing. Why do you think it's shielded from the sun? It's not.
Because it doesn't rotate
It only
around that
it
side.
only it doesn't rotate, so we only see the
So
one.
I think it stays
We
in this
only see
position
the-
and goes this way, so that the backside of it never gets the sun. That's
Yeah.
why it's the dark side.
It's not true. It's a myth.
It's not a rotating planet.
It doesn't need to rotate.
have-
It is rotating around us.
Yes.
And we are
But
rotating
stays-
around the sun.
This,
And there are times when the sun is illuminating that other side
really?
of the moon. Yeah.
When?
That's what I don't know. Once again, we're basing all this on what you hear on science
Yeah, because we
programs
see
and
it
other
in our
things.
sky, right?
Sure, and it is locked, with its one side towards us all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So
But
we never
apparently,
see, yeah.
I was reading a bunch of things about breaking some myths that people believe,
Mhm.
and one of them is that the dark side of the moon is dark all the time. And they said it isn't dark all the time. There are times when it's got the light of the sun on it. We don't know that.
Oh, really? Eh?
But it's been called the dark side of the moon, and they attributed the myth to Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, science is amazing. Who really
Yeah.
knows? I don't know. I know that I get another day today to breathe air and walk amongst the other people and things, and I find that to be a real blessing. Take it for what it is. We had another break-in in the RV 2 days ago at 9 o'clock at night out here. I got to watch the guy on video.
Wow.
Same guy as I watched last time break the window on video.
Thank you. Yeah.
The cops were there within moments after he ran away. But you can't let that bother you, right? What are you going to do? I mean, should it ruin your whole day? If it's going to ruin a whole day, why not a whole week? If it's not going to ruin your whole day, why let it ruin an hour?
Yeah.
Why let it ruin anything? It is what it is.
It's opinion. If everybody's
It can generate feelings of frustration or sadness about this or about that, but don't live in those emotions. Those aren't good emotions to live in.
Mm.
Sadness and madness, are to be not 100% avoided.
Yeah.
Because it's good to feel a little bit of that, especially, what motivates me is being really angry about a corrupt government in a country that I loved and thought, was all good. And it's not. The government of Canada, the governance has been co-opted by corporate forces, and they are raining evil and corruption down on us in the form of keeping an economy at such a high rate that most people can't afford to even feed their families these days. They're losing their homes at a staggering rate. They're responsible for policies on drugs that has resulted in street drugs and a tainted supply that's killing people and overdosing people, and all these other things that they're doing. They're turning Canada into a police state. So I am unhappy, to say the least, with all of that. And I vent a little bit about that from time to time, but I don't live in those emotions, although those emotions live in me. They are probably, one of the driving forces in me continuing to do what I do. But the way that I do what I do in trying to stop these things from happening is by having as much fun as I can. As contradictory as that may sound, and maybe it's blasphemous. Maybe I shouldn't have fun. Maybe I should be miserable for the sake of all those people whose lives have been ruined. But for me, that's no way to live. And it's really more than that. It's no way to get things done. The angry activist burns out fast, doesn't get much respect or attention paid to them by certainly mainstream media, except to make them look stupid. Because when you're angry and you're speaking from a place of anger, you're saying things that you don't mean to say. You're flabbergasted. You're da-da-da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
And they use that against you all the time, and it's no way to be. So somehow you need to remove yourself from what's going on. You be an observer, not a partaker, so you don't feel the feelings so much. and do what has to be done. Be that messenger, be that tradesman, that entity that sees the problem, knows how to fix it or has a solution or wants to try something anyway, and can do it with a level head and a way that will get them at least, respected and talked to by those people behind the greed. And there's always people behind the greed.
Yeah, always.
And it's almost always
Can't
greed.
have greed without people.
It's not just mistakes, right? Mistakes get fixed. They get fixed fast and easy. When there's something going on that's wrong, that's hurting people, and you go to your public servant and you say, hey, look at this. If there's not somebody profiting on that, then they will fix it. They will fix it fast because the profit is in fixing it. Hey, look what we did. We fixed
Get
this.
more money. Yeah.
But so often these situations where you're going and crying to your government about injustices that are happening in the world, those injustices are lining the pockets of some of the friends of government, or at least people that have influence on government, and you'll meet up with a brick wall. This thing, hey, people are being harmed. You can stop what you're doing here, and people won't be harmed anymore. Oh, okay, well, we'll get right on that. We'll strike a committee. And they do nothing, and you wonder what the hell. Well, what the hell is that almost always behind the scenes, somebody's making big bucks on that situation that's ongoing, and they're not going to give it up without, a fight. And if you don't keep at it, they're not going to give it up because if they don't have to, they won't. They're making money, right? And that's the corruption that we're up against, that we need to have a group of people that we could maybe select from ourselves. If they could put their resumes forward, we could select which ones might be good at it. And we could have that group of people maybe keep an eye on what's going on for us and try to warn us about these things. That'd be a good idea. And we pay them, of course, but we still call them servants because, because that's what we're paying for is their servitude. And we could have these servants of the public be there to try to make sure that these corporate rich bastards don't do what they're doing and hurting people to make money. That's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
We should maybe try and think about how we could do that.
No, don't we have to have money to do that?
Oh, I think you'd have to have a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
I think you'd have to
I don't think we're even close to that. I live on PWD.
You might have to have a bulletproof car for everybody.
Yeah, true. Maybe Elon Musk will give us some. He's got some bulletproof trucks and stuff like that. Just had some video where he had Joe Rogan shoot an arrow at it and it just bounced off the truck. Right, so
I saw that. Actually.
You saw that one, yeah. So
maybe we
could get him to donate a couple.
Maybe we could have Elon be one of our great.
I'm sure he smokes pot.
Our great public servants, and Joe Rogan as well, and a bunch of these other really good people. Russell Brand could come and take on a ministry of some sort within the group. All these good people that recognize the corruption that's going on are doing what they can to expose it.
Yep.
Let's all go live together somewhere.
I'm liking this Tucker Carlson guy too.
He's got some good things to say.
He's got some good things to say.
Everybody's a little bit crazy and pretty much a lot on the ball. If no matter what side they're on, if they have those positions where they can speak like that, they've got enough going on the ball. Enough people agree with them that they've got those positions. And I love to hear what these people have to say. And and there's a lot of lip service being given by a fair amount of people that would like to see a better, less corrupt world.
Yes.
And I'm kind of joking when I say let's all get together and move into some area and call it our own. And we'll live here, and the rest of the people can have the government of the day, and the government of the day can have the rest of the people. Whatever, we don't care. We do, but we're not gonna.
Did you hear about the ArriveCan app scam?
Try saying that faster.
ArriveCan app, yes.
ArriveCan.
You remember the app that
scam.
everybody had during COVID when you were flying that called ArriveCan?
Oh,
so many people have been, their information has been sold. They paid out a lot of money to have this thing done when they shouldn't have done that. Yeah,
how disappointing.
It was pretty cheap to make it, but apparently they paid out, I think, over $100 million extra or something. I don't know all the details. Wow. I don't try to go into politics too much.
Just when you think you can trust people, it turns out that maybe there was people taking advantage of the pandemic
Yeah.
to get people's information to sell to other people. Who would have thought that that could be a data collection event?
Yeah, it was 100 million. Justin Trudeau won't even go to jail or get a hand slap for wasting over 100 million of the tax dollars funneled to his friends to make that app. Yeah.
No, we live in a very corrupt world.
Yeah, well,
I'm
Mr.
sorry to
Trudeau
say.
is pretty corrupt.
Thankfully, we live in a world also where, despite the corruption, we can say things about it.
Yeah, there's a petition right now. There's a petition in the House of Commons until December 24th where you can go sign to have a non-confidence in Mr. Trudeau.
I see.
I signed it yesterday, and
then we'll get Mr. Poilievre, and we'll see if we can have confidence in him.
Well, maybe for the first couple of years, and then it changes usually.
They don't usually give you 2 years.
No, you think so?
The honeymoon period lasts after 7 or 8 months,
and that's it, eh?
Yeah,
and then it's like, yeah,
you might only get 100 days.
100 days in the office.
After 100 days in office,
yeah, that's like with the Americans.
That's a very common thing. We have a 100-day plan. We're going to solve all these issues for you after 100 days, and there you go. And then 100 days later, they've solved, some of it, not much of it. But then it's all about politics.
Yeah.
Politics means that you don't talk about it if you don't want to. Somebody asks you a question about it, you answer a question about something else, or you have pat answers that all of that stuff starts going on. And after 100 days, they don't care anymore because now they have free reign.
Yeah.
So for the next 2.5 years, 3 years, they can really stick it to us. And in sticking it to us, they're giving away our rights and giving away the economic benefits to their corporate friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the last 100 days of their being in office, that's when they start giving us some money back. They start spending money on roads, and they start making announcements about things that they're going to do. And some of those announcements are about things that are going to carry on into the next term. So that to get those good benefits, you got to re-elect them into office, and that's just the game that they've been playing forever. We get about 200 days; they get about 3 years of corporate allowance to take over whatever they want. And man, they do so much damage in every administration that we've had come through. Every 4-year term, there's 3 years of hell that's gone on in there that we never get back.
Mm-hmm.
They enact legislation that protects the interests of the rich and take away the rights of the poor and turn us more and more into a third world country, and they make out like bandits on it. And it just happens over and over. It doesn't matter who you elect into power. It doesn't matter.
Well, you know how everybody's all worried about AI taking over their jobs and that we won't be working because robots will do. What happens if AI takes out politics? Politics becomes a thing of the past because.
And we better pray that
we're
AI.
in trouble. Yes. I think we're in trouble.
I was going to say believes in God just because.
No, it won't.
Just because that is what should follow after I'm going to pray for it.
In that system, yeah.
But there's AI amongst us that's been going on for a while, and who knows to what levels it exists. You have to understand that it exists in several different forums. It exists in forums that are regulated and by people that are trying to protect the public and all of that kind of stuff. Self-regulated. There's very little regulation on AI, but self-regulated by ethical groups that are involved in doing that. And it's going to help us immensely in diagnostics and in science in many, many different ways. It's going to be amazing.
But with all good things,
but it has to also be being used and being created by the unethical groups, whoever they may be, whatever countries, whatever corporates.
Yeah.
And who knows what that AI is capable of. And maybe the AIs will end up merging or going to war against each other, or who knows.
Yeah, really, eh?
But the potential moving into the future is that we're going to be living alongside of intelligent machines that have been created by humans, and some of it will be for our advantage and some of it will be to the advantage of those humans that created it, or so they think. And where it all ends up, who knows?
I watched a movie called The Creator, and it's about the AI and human beings living together, and AI, like we're a bunch of robots. They just wanted to live with a bunch of robots in a part of the land so they could just be by themselves, right? And they created a childlike robot that could take control of all the robots and do all kinds of things, and then that the humans wanted to kill this one because she could do what she could do, right? So,
Right.
but eventually the movie just ends that they all get their own place to live, and humans and robots live together.
Can't we just get a bong?
That's
Well,
yeah,
AI might not have quite the interest in cannabis that humans do.
Shane and both Michael are saying it's going to take decades to fix the problems that Trudeau has given us.
If we can fix them at all. And that was kind of my point, is we don't ever get to fix these things.
No.
We fix some of it. People get fixated on certain things. Certain things have activists who are passionate and relentless and get shit done. But the vast majority of it doesn't. And they know that going in. They know they're going to put down 100 different things that are all going to hurt us and help them. And they're not going to get away with all of them. They're going to get away with only 75% of them. And that's a good number.
Yeah.
And I'm making that up. You know that
87.7%
of all statistics are made up on the spot. Are you aware of that?
It's all hypothetical?
Well, the numbers are hypothetical.
Yes.
The numbers are just made up by me on the spot. And I want to clarify that, of course, because, like I said, 87.4% of all statistics are made up on the spot. So I'm on the good side of the majority. Anyway.
Last time was 87.7. Now it's 87.4.
It fluctuates.
It fluctuates. Yeah. Plus or minus 3 is the margin.
That's the good thing with statistics that are made up on the spot. You can tailor them any way you want, whatever sounds better.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the world we're living in.
Yeah, exactly. Shane said this is why we need to tear down the current system. I hate to sound like an anarchist, but we really need to destroy what we have so that we can build it back better.
Well, destruction sounds very violent to me, and there would be a lot of people hurt, and they wouldn't all be the elite that get hurt in something like that.
Oh yeah.
An economics war against the elite. To take apart and dismantle this system of corruption that they've instituted, which is layers and layers and layers, would be extremely painful and difficult, and who knows where the economy would end up. These are just my opinions, by the way. I've never been to the future. I don't claim to have any future knowledge, but in my opinion, if you ended the actual attempts to prohibit cannabis and other substances right now today, it would destroy economies around the world. That are reliant on this right now. Corruption is how a lot of stuff gets done, believe it or not, and sorry to say, but the railroads probably still wouldn't be built across Canada if corruption wasn't involved. You grease the skids and things move. Right?
Yeah.
So what do we do? In my opinion, it's my show, so I get to answer the questions. Thank you for posing it. And I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think that the foundations of a group that would be public servants and would be limited, transparent in what they're doing, accountable to the public and to the law, and tasked with the job of protecting us from the financial and corporate elite of this world, the greedy and the evil that's out there and that will prey upon ordinary citizens if allowed to do so. It's just business, basically doing what business does on the extreme end. It's like the extreme end of any religion as well. And so on the extreme end of business, they will have child labor, they will have monopolization, they will exploit as best they can, they will only focus on the bottom line profits and minimizing their losses and putting down competition and all of the things that business does when business can. This is really a war against the business or financial elite and the average ordinary people. And that's what's been going on for hundreds and thousands of years here on this planet with the people on this planet, is the masses of people are being raped by the rich and always have been. So to get what we've got, we've had people go to war, take bullets, willing to die and dying. And so what we've got is that I can sit here and talk about this, and the government guys aren't, or the king's guys, or the pharaoh's guys, or the dictator's guys aren't breaking through the door to take me away in some black car, never to be seen again. Mm-hmm. We have fought, and I say we, meaning those before us, who we need to have great respect for, but it's difficult to have a great understanding for because we've all been separated from this. I've never experienced that war. I've never known my family members to be conscripted into an army and have to go and fight or stay home and fight.
Yeah.
So we've come this far, but it's being eroded instead of improved upon. It got improved upon for quite a while since the Magna Carta, protected some of the rich people. We've had more and more and more rights come down until we get what we've got here. And then maybe we could use as the example the new forming democracy of Canada, back 300 years ago, and how that all came to be. From that point of deciding, hey, this great land here that we're going to take away from the people that are already living here, we're going to say it's ours without even having a war for the most part, and we're going to design a system of governance that rids us of the tyrants of the past and that sort of thing. And so maybe at some point in there was a moment where it was altruistic, and they were just trying to do the right thing for the people of Canada that would come after them. But around that same time came that moment of corruption, where those forces that could see where that was going had an agenda of control and the rest of it. And so, that's been part of the Canadian evolution of governance for, the last 300 years. And really in the last while, it's been severely eroded. And this is why we need to be vigilant about this. We need to wake up. We need to realize that this is not okay, even though we were born into this and it's just the way it is and da-da-da-da-da. This is not okay. We are quite literally the kidnapped profit units for these financial elite who use us and exploit us for their own profit and gain.
Yeah.
And they push us to the limits.
Like slaves.
But we're slaves that don't try to escape.
I don't disrespect the people that went through that, actually, but and it's still, business was cotton at that time, and those people worked for that guy so that his business was good. Now all people are slaves, and the big guy, the master, is still the government, taking the money from us and telling us what to do. So
the big plantation owners, business people, trying to maximize their profits, trying to reduce their expenditures, would go and capture, human beings to provide energy for them, to provide work for them. But and they were oblivious to the outside world. They didn't give a shit about anybody else.
Yep.
I mean, they hobnobbed with other rich people, and they all had slaves.
The government doesn't give a shit about us.
Same thing, yeah. The government is just, it has evolved exactly what you said. I'm about to back up everything that you said there. And so, having slaves was not quite as easy as it might sound. You don't just get to go and kidnap some person and they're going to work for you like as if they give a shit about you and that they're going to help produce for you. So you have to motivate them to produce for you. And typically that's not through high wages and benefits and all those sorts of things. When it's a slave, it's because of the threat of violence against them and ultimately death and to their families as well. So they make these people work because they're captured, they can't escape, and they try to escape all the time, and that's not cheap for the landowners and the plantation owners. They have to even feed these people, and they don't like doing that because that costs them money, and they're trying to reduce all their expenditures. But yeah, you gotta feed them. They won't work 24 hours straight. You have to provide a place for them to sleep, and that's another expense. And then they're still trying to escape all the time. And then you gotta have guards. And they don't work very well, and they're sabotaging things, and there's all kinds of problems. So having slaves was not just a free-for-all, hell, have a bunch of humans, they're just going to work for you. So they evolved this system where they kind of enslave large groups of people into paying prices that they've monopolized into being much higher than what are necessary.
Yeah.
So anybody else that comes along that wants to compete with them, and sure, lots of people would, because if you can provide for cheaper, well, you'll have good business. Well, they don't allow for that. Over the years, there's been all these different, clandestine black ops, and it's still going on today. They somehow put down the competition that wouldn't raise prices by hundreds and thousands of times, and they get the competition. They either buy them out, scare them away, or get them to come on board and charge the same prices as they are. Don't rock the boat sort of thing. There's good money to be made here, and they have control basically of our governments. Our governments are really just puppets for these rich corporate people.
Yeah.
And so
slave masters.
Yeah. You're not I don't think, injuring those that were actual slaves in the past by saying that the same type of thinking is going on with those people that are making policies.
We just think we're free.
We just think, and that's part of their big plan.
Yeah.
Is they get people
because
so
those
distracted.
People couldn't leave the plantation, but we can leave the plantation.
We think we can.
We can leave our home.
We think we can.
We can go to the movies. We can see music and right. But
plenty of distractions, plenty of entertainment, plenty of alcohol to keep you drunk and not thinking too straight. Lots of pressure. Economic hardship, so everybody's got to work real hard. You don't get a lot of time to be thinking about, whether you should be paying all these taxes and what the hell is the government doing with all that money they're breaking in on cannabis and other things like
giving it to other countries.
So that's bringing us kind of full circle back to where we started, which is, maybe a whole bunch of us good people that don't like this should just get together and have our own little space and say, hey, this is our part of the world. Leave us the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And that's why I made the comment. You would have to get bulletproof cars for especially all the leaders.
Cannabis
because if you try to set up a community within Canada, say, and there's plenty of land.
Yeah.
Plenty of land. You could find a place. How you doing, Sam? Good to see you, buddy. You could set up a place somewhere that's way away from everybody else. You're not bothering nobody. Yep. And you come up with your own way of having currency or whatever it is that you're using to trade with. Or,
barter.
And your own way of governance and, away you go. No, you can't. No, you can't. You're within the bounds of some country somewhere, and you're not going to be allowed to live as you want and govern yourselves as you want and not pay taxes to the man and not allow the man to come in there and instill their laws and their rules on you. It's what's going on here in Canada with the Indigenous people and the areas that they've been given. How nice of them, to give them some areas and what they do in those areas and how much control they have over their own lives. And as soon as they start to really do things that are outside of those laws of Canada, well, now you've got Canadian authorities in there, and not that anybody's being harmed by that. Like in what I'm really referring to is the Indigenous desire to have control of their own cannabis as medicine for their own people, and yet there's armed opposition to that, from Canadian authorities to anything like that, and that is an absolute affront to free people. It should be free to live as they want, to govern as they want. As long as there's not human rights violations going on that Canada should be, making sure aren't happening there. And that's the opposite of what we're talking about. We're talking about groups that would have way less human rights violations than the government of Canada has going on here and the corporations of the world have going on here. And but anyway, so there you go, another rant.
See, the dab wore off, didn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's still a little bit.
You can feel.
I feel the weight in my back.
You feel medicated still.
I feel medicated.
Good, but that's
I'm
what
not
the whole.
Sure, it's good.
Yes, because now you don't have to do the.
I haven't uncrossed my leg for about 40 minutes, and now it's starting to hurt.
Less harshness on the throat.
Definitely less.
Right, because now you're medicated without all having to smoke that whole thing. That's the point of it. Is that
you see what I did there? You guys can't see it at home.
I heard it crack.
But I had my leg, one leg over the other knee for the last I don't know how long, and I should not have been doing that. I just sort of get frozen. Old. Yeah, you got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Got to keep moving.
Got to keep moving. Yeah, and now you even have a cushion under your butt there, eh?
Yeah, how about that?
So that's
that's something we need to talk about.
I got one too. All right, we're all right.
Shall we grab one of those? Grab the
here, just grab one here.
No, you sit on. That's nice.
All right.
Grab the little green one that's underneath the red and white one. Right there, second one down. That's a beauty little thing there. Look at that.
Isn't that like for some animals or?
It's made for pets.
It is made for pets.
It's made for pets.
$20, right?
Well, that's what they wanted to get for it.
Yeah.
So there's a woman who's a relative of one of our wonderful donators here at the Cannabis Substitution Program, Green Wilderness, for almost 6 years, if not more than that now. We're almost at 7 years, so it must be over 6 years for them that they've been helping us with gummies for people and just making a profound difference in people's lives because of it. And this is not the first time, but it's the first time for these that Green Wilderness has come up with some stuff for us to go along with our tubes and doobs.
Nice.
So grab a pack of socks there.
There we go.
So what we got going on is socks, and we got doobies.
Yep.
Maybe some of these. You
There
never
you go.
know. Got some of these going on there. You don't mind, I'm sure.
No, I don't mind.
I'm sure Michelle likes it.
She gives the faces.
Thank you, Michelle. So we got tubes and we got doobs and we got seats for people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people
Or a
around here that
pillow.
they have no place to go. And they sit on the sidewalk in the cold. You shouldn't be sitting on cement in the cold or at any time, really. There's stuff that leaches out of that. So his relative was in a wheelchair and all year long makes these pads for pets.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure she had visions of selling them because they've mostly got price tags on them based on how many of these little fluffy balls there are in each one. But they've donated dozens to us, along with dozens of blankets and other things to help keep people warm. And so what a wonderful thing to do, and it really
I
helps
just gave
us.
you a really weird look about fluffy balls.
I don't know.
I told you.
First time doing dabs, and I come in here and you're like talking about furry balls. I'm like, maybe we don't give him dabs anymore.
He survived it. Look at that. He's all right now. He
I
survived
have
it.
not moved an inch.
No, eh?
Yep, he did. Yeah, he did good.
Yeah.
I just managed to get my leg uncrossed.
After 45 minutes.
Just in time because it was seizing right up. I've yet to figure out what happens when they seize right up, but I know that does happen, and I don't want to go through what happens when that happens.
We'd have to be pulling it up for him. It would be pulling your leg, literally.
So we got the annual fourth annual.
Yes,
Fourth annual Tubes and
raised-
Doobs, inspired by Sterling back in Saskatoon, who started giving away socks and doobies to people.
Yep.
We always manage to get more than that going on, and this year we have these as well. We're going to go for a walk through the neighborhood, not with you people, but because we don't like to have people on camera that don't want to be there, and there's too much chance that would happen. But we are going to go through a walk through the neighborhood right away before Tubes and Doobs and give away a whole bunch of these things because they'd be perfect for people to sit on out there for sure.
Or become a pillow. You can fold them
And
out
use it for a pillow.
For a pillow, right?
There's some that are 3 feet by 4
Yeah,
feet or
some
3
are-
feet by 3, something like that
some
there.
are big, some are small.
You know, you could almost have it make a bed out of them.
8 by 10 right there.
But we don't want to give them away just randomly to anybody that walks by.
Yeah.
We'd kind of like to give them to the people that are really there, sitting on the streets. That's where they're at in life, and really try to make their day that way. So thank you so much to Green Wilderness. Thank you so
That's
much to
awesome.
yourself. Glenn's done so much work to make
We've
this
raised
work.
$788 to this day, so we need another $212. We do have a donation from Gusto Green and
Great.
Abbotsford, so I'm picking that up tomorrow, and that's going to be stuff for you to roll. They've
Okay.
also kicked in $245, which is part of the
Beautiful. Thank you
788.
so much.
Brad Fife has reached out to me and says he has a quarter pound of weed for you to roll. So for the dupes part, I just got to get out to Surrey and meet up with him. And we've got Gary from Newton coming in either this week or next week. So,
And we're doing this on the 19th.
Yeah, on the 19th. And I believe
December.
Kristen C.W. Parker is going to throw in some money too. She said when she gets some money, I
So
think.
3 weeks from today.
Yeah, 3 weeks from today.
So we got 3 weeks.
So
I'm
we-
sure
we'll
people are going to
raise-
donate to what we were asking to.
Yeah,
what we
everything's
need to
been
cover
paid
this.
for.
And it's going to be more than that. I know that. And I want you all to know out there that when that happens, it's just money that goes to the CSP, and it helps us all year long to help get to people what they need here. And it's the donators that have really made the CSP work. What do you got going on over there?
Shane says he got so high that he sat so long. he got so high he sat still too long. Yes, he did.
And I think that's why I'm still kind of feeling it in here.
It's because
Because I haven't really shifted and
you haven't done the
adjusted much
shift yet.
yet.
There you go. No, there you
And I
go.
need to do that.
So and yeah. So what was I saying?
Well, you know, you were laughing at the comments about me getting old. You know,
Sorry about that. I got
this is-
distracted.
and I said earlier, this in another show somewhere, that you're really watching the demise of a person grow old and fade away.
Yeah, and do dabs.
The longer that I stay here. But no, I really wanted to thank the donators. You know, and
Yes.
the CSP here in
Yeah, that's what I was
in
gonna say.
Vancouver has been going on. It'll be 7 years in February, early February, coming really fast. That's a long time, trust me. And it only works because of the donations of people that keep this going. Green Wilderness, like I said, for almost the full time here has been helping us, and Twisted with their Gorilla Ganja, and oh man, so many, and I don't want to start naming names, and there was lots in the beginning, in the early days, and there's just a ton of good people that have made this work. And for them, it's not about getting recognition, which is one of the beautiful things here. This is not about me being told, hey, okay, well, I'm going to be giving you donations, and this is what I need you to say.
Yeah. Nobody's done that to us.
Nobody's ever done that to me.
We just give them a shout out.
Nobody's ever complained that I didn't mention them.
Yeah.
And I don't mention very many because there's too many, and because I'm afraid that I'm going to miss people that I should be thanking, and I should be thanking all these people. But the thanks is in them knowing what they're doing, and me saying thanks isn't going to compare.
Some of them don't want to be thanked.
And publicly, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But, even those where, I would mention their names and thank them, I'm sure they like that. I'm sure that's nice and everything, but it doesn't even come close to comparing to how they already feel about themselves, because they know what they did. They know that they've helped out people that really have very little opportunity to help themselves. And that's a beautiful thing. That's where the joy in life comes, is in being in a position where you can help somebody, and then providing that help. You are so blessed to be able to help. What a wonderful feeling that is. And then you get to help somebody that needs help, and they get some wonderful feelings out of that as well.
And Steve Neely has messaged me and said your next box of edible gummies is on its way. So
thank you very much, Steve.
Should be here probably by Friday or something. So he's been a monthly contributor for us. So
and so valuable they all
without
are.
These people, we wouldn't be able to help these people. That's the thing about it, right?
I don't have unlimited finances. No. There's nobody here with deep pockets. We've made this work, and there are people who've contributed, and myself included, for sure, to make it happen and to keep it going. But, my contributions by themselves would not have kept this going, would not have done what we've done, or come even anything. We wouldn't still be here for sure. This is because this is a very large group effort. And this is in Vancouver. And Vancouver has spawned some other some other places as well, starting with Chris Backer. And he's been on board for, it's got to be coming close to 6 years now for him too. He's definitely in his 5th year. In Halifax, thanks to the donators. Chris will be the first one to tell you that he's got a couple of great volunteers, and that all helps as well. But if it was him and his volunteers, what are they going to do? What are they going to give away if they got nothing to give away? It's the people that understand that want to be able to give back and help in this situation, that recognize that Chris and the CSP are good people that their money is going to be used for. Nobody takes a cut. 100%.
No.
Nobody takes a cut. Everybody's putting in effort, money, time, all the rest of it. That's what this is all about. This is community. This is people that are really, helping out for sure. We have no board of directors. There's the Serious Hope Society that is not functional and has not really functioned since the pandemic, and was never in charge of anything to do with the CSP. None of the people on the board ever got paid a penny, myself included, for anything to do with that. There's no money going to organizers or managers or anything else at all, period. There is funds and resources, cannabis and otherwise, that go to people that turn it into edibles, always at, they give us far more than what they take. We had one exception. I won't talk about it. But other than that,
there's always an exception to the rule, right?
Well, not always. It doesn't have to be.
If you have to be, but there's an opposite to everything. So there.
No, yeah. I'm saying that in an organization, there can be checks and balances put in place
to prevent that.
That make it so there is not the ability of somebody to take advantage like that. So there's no real temptation because it can't be done. And real checks and balances can keep an organization clean. And that's my hope for whatever happens to the CSP. And part of what is happening with the CSP, and you might see this online, is the Magnuson Foundation.
Yes.
And I support that because I believe in the people that have put that together. And I asked for and was given assurances that they would do the right thing, the right way, that they would make me proud of the way things are operated. And so that we'll see where all that goes, but I'm totally flattered and honored by all of that. I did not have a lot to do with it, although I did allow it to happen. I did give my permission, and I signed it into existence as well. So, we can only hope for good things, that's for sure.
And if you're in the Newton area or Surrey area, they could really use some donations too.
Right. And that is,
Langley.
and thank you, because that is where I was going.
Yeah.
Is that, what Chris has managed to do there out in Halifax happened because of the donations that he continues to get. And that is so important. And there's never enough. It's heartbreaking when you get to the end of your donations for that time when you're giving them out, and there's still people left over that didn't get something. The only solace is in knowing that you did manage to help a whole lot of people before them, and you just can't help everybody. Many times you can help everybody that shows up in the line, and that's the goal. Mm-hmm. And that's what we would like to see happen. And so that if you have the ability to donate something, time, cannabis, money, whatever, Chris would be a really good place to plunk some of that. The CSPs in Surrey, Langley, and Newton, they're in their infancy. The one in Langley is just about, it's going to be a year in May. The one in Surrey is a few months older than that. The one in Langley, I don't think they've reached 6 months yet. So they're in their early days. And those are the crucial days for making it work, where you're either going to get dedicated donators or you're not.
Yeah.
And it looks like all three of those are going to do very well, and they're going to be able to help a lot of people.
Yeah, and they have been. I've been posting their videos and stuff like that. Even Shane says, can we get some checks and balances on the Liberal government right now,
That's
please?
what we're asking for.
I know. Hey?
That's what we're asking for.
Give a heart for that one for sure. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean when I say limited, accountable.
Yeah.
Transparent public service, limited and accountable. So they don't have the ability to do what they do. They can't, it would be outside of their purview to be able to interfere with what you as a Canadian adult decide that you want to try for yourself for whatever reason, be it adventure or be it for personal health reasons. You get to try what you want. As long as you didn't beat somebody up to get it or steal it off of somebody or, reasonably, we're talking about cannabis here. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a government that decides it's okay to restrict access to cannabis and coca and opiates and mushrooms from people who are suffering. When for as far back as we know, these things have been able to help people. Mm-hmm. So if there was truth to these things being dangerous and harming people, and certainly in the case of the opioids, there are some possibilities of people being harmed by these things if they get into a relationship where they're using too much too soon and what have you. That's a possibility. There's a role for government to play when that is the case, but it's not in prohibiting it. It's not in saying you just plain can't have it. Do one of Einstein's little mind games about that, little thought games about, you've got a sick person here, and by sick I mean suffering, and they're desperate because they're suffering. You're in pain. You want to find something your whole emphasis in life at that moment for the next moments on until you find relief is to find relief. And there's all kinds of possibilities. You're in a place filled with all kinds of possibilities, and you reach for one because somebody says, hey, that one worked for me. And there's a guy there whacking your hand with a stick, saying, no, you can't have that one. Well, but it worked for so-and-so. Oh, I don't care. Doesn't matter. It's the law. And the law is you can't have this one. Nobody can have this one. Even though the truth is, this one has helped a lot of people. And it hasn't hurt anybody in any significant way. But even if that wasn't the case, even if we're talking about the opioids, and people have been harmed and have gotten themselves to the point where they can't get off because they can't get through withdrawal, and it's zapping their finances, and it's zapping all sorts of health issues. Even when that's the case, you can't prohibit it from everybody. It's not your right. These people are not gods. They're not they don't own us, or do they? Right? Right? That's what we're talking about here. It's like we're slaves. It's like the slave master has said, you can't have this. And I'm not even going to tell you why, because you're slaves. Oh, you people aren't slaves. You're just the public. We have to tell you why. Okay. Well, it makes people violent.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. We got to read these newspaper articles. You'll see that the guy that did the violence smoked some reefer before he did that. Don't worry about the fact that the owner of the newspaper has an agenda about making cannabis illegal to protect his paperweight, his paper industry. Don't think about that. It's in the news. It must be true. And they bamboozled people for all this time. You know, the people trusted the media. You thought you could. There was ethics in journalism back then. I know you don't know what that looks like, but, you know, it used to be the case that journalists had ethics.
Yeah, it used to be.
And they had free reign. And it was... And the ones that went the farthest and the deepest were the ones that were the most respected, as opposed to these days where it's the opposite.
Like Walter Cronkite and stuff like that, right?
Well, so many good journalists of the day that would dig deep and find out what Nixon was doing and having, you know, burglars, you know, break in. I mean, on and on and on it went. We had people that would look into that stuff, that cared about that stuff, and they were protected and they were respected. And we don't have that going on, and that is so dangerous to not have an independent media with ethical journalism. That is so dangerous. And yet here we are. This is the world we're living in. And we're living in this world because they've had to orchestrate that. They've had to make that part of what's going on here so that they can get away with saying that, oh, you can't have this natural plant product over here because it's dangerous. And, you know, and look what the media says, you know, about it. And the media, they're all in cahoots.
Shane says it goes to the fact that they can't patent it. It's naturally grown.
100%.
But they did patent THC. Didn't in the U.S.? Don't they
synthetic THC.
Is it synthetic THC that they own the patent too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this is how bad it is, right?
This is how bad it is.
This is
it's
how,
like your stuff.
when you step outside of the normal world of getting up and going to work and doing a job and coming home and looking after your family, and in the evening getting a little bit drunk so you can sleep enough to get another day's work in, and on the weekend party hardy and all the rest of it, and barely pay your bills and don't think about shit, and the government will give you answers that aren't the truth, but they sound close enough, so you'll believe that because it's not in your best interest to get twigged on something, to hang on to something, to say, hey, that doesn't sound right to me, because now that's going to mess up your life. So people are just, they're for their own comfort, in their comfort zones, and they're not wanting to move too far out of that. But when you do, when you wake up and you start to dig a little bit, when you start to really pay attention, and if you're involved in an area where people are being oppressed, and then you get to see for yourself. There are so many people. I mean, I've seen this guy down by the police station yesterday. He's been there for months now. He's got a 4x8 Coroplast sign that talks about him being chased down by a bunch of civilians, had the crap beat out of him, had all of his stuff stolen, and the police don't give a shit about it. And he's standing outside the police station holding up this sign day after day after day.
Does he beep for him or something?
Yeah, and he says,
I heard people beeping for him today.
I honked for him yesterday, and I pulled up alongside. I rolled down my window. I said, has anybody ever come out and even talked to you about this?
Yeah.
And he said, yep, they finally did just recently. Somebody came out and asked him about it, and they opened a file. And they say they're going to investigate, but they're really doing nothing, he said.
No.
Well, he doesn't really know what they're doing. They don't share that with people,
yet.
so who really knows?
Yeah.
But justice is hard to get in this world.
Yeah.
And it's because the structure that's been put in place has been corrupted from 100 years or more ago.
Yeah.
And it's designed and built now with a whole bunch of loopholes and protections for the very people that deserve to be exposed and taken to task. And we need to do something about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how we get it. I wish I had that answer for you. I'm not in favor of a violent uprising. I'm not in favor of destroying it all and starting from scratch.
But it might go that way.
It might go that way. You know, I don't think that's a good solution. I don't think that's a good way to get to where we want to get to. And I think it's very damaging to a lot of, you know, it's individual, actual people in the process along the way. I think that we can build on the structures that we have. I think that we could make our dumbocracy a smartocracy and have limits that are real. on the people that are public servants, and protections for the sovereignty of each human being, so that these public servants, they tread lightly when asking you questions or wanting to come into your domain, and that they understand that any invasion of your personal privacy is against your rights, unless there's things going on where they pretty much know it's you that did something bad or whatever, right? Otherwise, leave us alone to live our lives. Tell us where the pit holes are in the road along the way. Help us protect our children. Help us educate ourselves. Tell us the truth. Put in place things that make us money as a society. It's not hard. Businessmen can figure out how to have a win-win-win in situations where the government wins because the people win and the people involved win and everybody wins. And there are no big losers like there are now, and there are no big winners like there are now. We need to know what happened for SC Lavalin. We need to go back and look at all of that stuff. We need to know why the RCMP has been involved in what looks like a cover-up of the Prime Minister's affairs for the terms that he's been in there. We need to know these things. We need to have an independent media. We need to have a true police force that works for the people, independent. We need to have a judiciary that's separated from politics. We need to have a limited, accountable, and transparent public service that respects the rights of every individual human. And we'll have mechanisms in place, safeguards, checks and balances to make sure that the business desire, the business the nature of business is not allowed to go beyond limits that exploit people, that monopolize things, that use child labor, that imposes things on people against their will, that bullies people into making a whole bunch of money. It keeps the prices up where they shouldn't be. All of that kind of stuff. That needs to be the role of government, is to protect us from those people, not to be in bed with them, not to have closed door meetings with lobbyists. It's a fancy word for bribers and threateners. We need a transparent government where we get to watch MP watch, and we can see any MP at any time during the workday doing whatever they're doing for us. They get their private time, but they don't do business during their private time, or it's a serious offense. We need to have justice brought back. We need to understand those principles of justice that were developed for hundreds of years to try to be fair to people and get to the truth of things, to not convict innocent people, but to get proper penalties for those that were guilty of actual crimes against people. Where they had the symbolized vision of justice being an older matriarch, the wisdom of a grandmother, blindfolded, and all that brings with it, holding a set of scales where they bring the truth and the evidence that's proven, what they can prove, that you, a person who they've properly identified, has done things to cause harm. And how much harm did you cause? That goes on the one side of the set of scales. And then on the other side of the set of scales is a punishment that matches the crime, that balances it out. We're innocent until proven guilty, and beyond reasonable doubt, and being able to face your accuser, and all of those things are at play, along with even better and more modern checks and balances to find the guilty party, to understand the amount of damage done, and to rectify it in ways that make sense for everybody. Realizing, of course, compassion involved. How do people come to commit crimes? How did we as a society fail those people that committed those crimes? And all of that at play. A compassionate, love-based, reasonable, logical, just society is so worth striving for. That's the mission of all of us that are still slaves to the few masters that still pull all the strings and have the system rigged for their profit. We can do it. I don't know how. It's a tough one. But if we all work together, if you bring your ideas to the table, if you infect other people with the idea and the notion that we can have a way better world, that we don't have to struggle to make our payments at the end of the month and decide which things we do and which things we don't do that we need to do or that we want to do. We could have a bountiful, wonderful, thriving economy if government would help us instead of hinder us. It is not the role of public servants and governance to impede business, progress, and trading between people. It is their job to make sure that nobody's exploited in that process, that fairness is involved, that people aren't gouging other people and monopolizing things so that other people can't get a cheaper price when a cheaper price is reasonable. That's the role of government. Regulations that make sense. Regulations that are primarily about regulating industry and how they behave more than it is about regulating people and what they're able to do or not able to do. Free people get to do whatever they want unless they're harming other people in demonstrable, significant ways. That's just the way that it is. The role of government is to protect those rights, that allow people to be who they are, who they want to be, do what they want to do, even at risk to their own property and in some cases well-being. It's not the government's role to tell you you cannot learn to ski, or you cannot be a boxer, you can't be a test drive pilot, and all these other things that are dangerous in our society. It's the government's role to make sure that those dangerous things in our society have education wrapped around them, so that people can make educated choices about what it is they do and they don't want to take risks with. For a government to decide that they're going to take the majority of the police resources, billions of tax dollars, and dedicate it to punishing and criminalizing people for having possession of or growing plants is such an outrageous abomination of what that governing body should be all about. And so that's what we're talking about. That's what we do here. And hopefully one day we can get this thing going.
I have to say something.
Please. I'm sorry.
You said innocent until proven guilty.
Mm-hmm.
That's only a span of it, because the people who have gone and shot up people at a school are obviously guilty. Child predator people that the cops have pictures of children on their stuff are obviously guilty.
I understand completely what you're saying, and I 100% agree.
Yes,
that there's been a major perversion
of that
in those specifics of the law to benefit the criminal and not the victims.
Yeah.
And this is where I say that these
principles,
principles,
a pedophile gets to be free until he's proven guilty and be able to do something else while he's free, or might get caught again, right? So that should be only.
So the level of evidence needed to be able to interfere with people needs to include the ability of, to deal with that.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that we need to continue with this evolution of justice that started hundreds of years ago through common law principles, and bring in modern day adjustments and checks and balances to these things, so that it is the victims and society that are the ones being concerned about and protected by the justice system, not the rights of those perpetrators. And they've really perverted that so far. 100%.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that say, ladies who have been raped, the rapist gets to go free until he's proven guilty, but yet they have DNA proof that says that this person did that. Right. So
what these are, these innocent till proven guilty and these beyond reasonable doubt and facing your accuser and all those things, those are foundations.
Yeah.
You don't allow them to be perverted. You don't allow them to dominate reason and logic. You must have, and that's the whole idea of common law evolution, is to evolve to a system that has humanity built into it somehow, that there are checks and balances for, how you do all of this.
Yeah.
and there's going to be some people that get away with stuff because
That's just
it's
the,
just
the way it is. Yeah.
But
All
you
the
can
good
do
stuff,
your best,
There'll be some, yeah.
and we're not doing our
You
best.
can limit. You can limit it. Yes.
100%. You can do
Yeah.
your best to limit it, and
Yeah.
that's all you can do is your best. But we're not doing our best,
Yeah.
and it seems like the motives within the justice system are not geared to be doing what is our best with respect to recognizing what's really right and wrong in there.
Mm-hmm.
So we need better systems. In some cases, maybe in the justice system, we should tear that one down and redo that one. With respect to the idea of public servants, if they were limited, accountable, transparent, and all the rest of that, I think that's a good idea. I think that's where you would end up anyway.
Yeah.
But we need to revisit it. We need to have really good ethical, Canadians without a big agenda on their end. The big thinkers, where's all the big thinkers? We used to have some really good thinkers.
Yeah, we used to, yeah.
I mean, they're probably still out there, but they're just not engaged in the public realm.
Right.
They're not engaged in politics because it's so corrupt.
Yeah.
But, we need some good thinkers, some big thinkers to step forward here in Canada, to sit around a table with a basic understanding of what direction we want to go in developing government that is for the people, works for the people, and is aware of where the threats to the population are with respect to the corporate elite. So anyway, I'm in favor of all of that. How are we for time?
We are at 1 hour, 58 minutes and 20 seconds.
Holy smokes, did you do that?
Right there. It's right there. It
Wow,
says
it's right there.
it's right there.
I don't have my time on my clock.
Well,
I need you to
we've got that one.
I need you to do that for me again.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well we'll work
So
it
my
out.
clock, my phone always has the clock face on. I can see what time it is. I was having so much fun. I didn't realize we were that far into it.
Yeah.
And that means we're like kind of there.
Cheers, Jeff.
So good on Dana Larson for having a second location for his Get Your Drugs Tested at 254 West Broadway. That's awesome.
Do we know how the Board of Variance went for cannabis culture on Friday? Do we know?
Was it on Friday, or was that just the deadline for submissions?
Is that it?
I was told it was a deadline for submissions.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything yet. I did see Jody commenting today online, quite a detailed explanation of where she's at.
Okay.
But then there was nothing like that in there, although she did talk about the fact that they were having to go through that.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's happened yet.
Okay.
Dana Larson's on December 6th.
Yeah.
Also looking for people
next
that
week. That's next week.
it's coming right up.
Yeah, next Friday or something. No, so the first is Friday, so Wednesday probably. Yeah.
6th of December. If you could get Dana a letter of support, that would be great. And if you have profound experience in being helped by the psychedelics, such as what he's offering there, the DMT, the LSD, the mushrooms, all of that stuff. If you've had profound success in using those things, then your testimony is of great value to his case. Please get a hold of him. That's pretty much it. Tubes and Dubes coming up. We got 3 more weeks, so we still need a few more donations. We want to raise as much as possible because the more we raise, the better we can do.
Forward comes to you now because everything
comes to the CSP.
Hot coffee and chocolate was donated for free. We've paid for the socks so that we can buy more socks. So we make a lot more. We can buy more socks, but obviously we were paying you for the Dubes part. We do have some.
We'll figure out what the best thing to do with that money is,
Yep.
and we've got a whole bunch of different possibilities for sure, including. Perhaps sending some to the other CSPs to help them out as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they're all doing similar things, but not, here in Vancouver. But, it's wintertime, and I know that the people in Langley and Surrey at least, and probably in Newton for sure, and probably Chris, always, every year, and we have too, every year.
Yeah.
We do extra things to try to help out the
Or
people.
even if you're a Costco member, you can go to Costco and pay $20 to get 4 pairs and maybe help somebody in your area.
There you go.
$20, $19.99, 4 pairs of wool socks. Can't beat it, but you got to be a Costco member.
And if you have a couple of joints to give out with them, then feel free to say you're part of our crew. That would be awesome.
There you go.
And we didn't once again summarize the CSP. Well, oh well.
We can just point the camera outside since it's right there.
It is. We could do that. We have.
Could be too dark though.
We'll do it next week.
We're working on something.
Maybe next week we'll talk more about the CSP.
We're having a problem getting this to go like that while we're on the cannabis culture page. So it's very strange. So if I was like to show you here. If we go to the cannabis culture page,
I think my face is
there,
getting too
there we
old.
go, right? And if we tried to make it go live, it says, there we go.
The old guy's face is not suitable for public
See,
consumption,
it won't change.
and we won't let you have it on a bigger
No,
screen.
and now it says there, landscape not supported. And I've logged out and everything and logged back in. It just won't let
We
me
have
do
been
it.
trying, but
Yeah, we have been trying a lot. So
we'll just keep trying.
yeah. Anyways,
Every day is just practice. Although every day is amazing and should be
we always
taken
get it
to full
worked out.
advantage.
We got a camera. We got a laptop. We've got it worked
advantage.
out. Yeah.
Ah,
Hey, Jen.
we're still here.
Jen Bennett saying hi.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jen. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Are you happy in your new home?
Oh, she's in Alberta now.
Yeah, I know.
I know, eh? She's
So-
probably buried up the snow like this.
Is there snow in Alberta now?
Oh, there's probably some snow in Alberta. Yeah, come on.
The weather here, our weekly THC weather report is it's nice and cold. It's nice and cold. It's
Yeah.
pretty. It's pretty
Hasn't
and
snowed
cold.
yet.
It's pretty cold.
1 year ago today, we had that major snowstorm that shut down the Lionsgate Bridge and everything.
And we had snow already by that time a couple of weeks before.
Yeah.
I was looking at some memories there,
Yeah.
and snow was coming
She
down.
says she's loving it.
Nice. Happy
Nice.
for you.
Yes, that's awesome. That's
Great
so
stuff.
awesome. What is this? We have had snow, but it's just more cold.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Well, we're not particularly warm here either, but it's all good. And yeah, so what else should I do? Thanks to everybody who takes part and helps. As I didn't really
The CSP.
emphasize the donators as much as I will and need to, because they're so important to how the CSPs work. And the Cannabis Substitution Program is this program where we provide cannabis to people free of charge by donation. We have 270 members. They're allowed 420 milligrams per week, or every 4 days. Sorry, every 4 days here in Vancouver. The other ones pretty much run once a week. Although I think Surrey and Newton, they go out more than once a week with their outreach, and that's what it's all about. And it's been quite the journey in doing this and trying to get legitimacy in doing this. But as it stands now, we are still illegal. We still don't have pieces of paper with signatures on it from government officials to allow us to do what we're doing. We're still facing charges. I'm still facing charges of selling without a license. I maintain that the Health Canada Department is in violation of their duties in not providing that license a long time ago, like they should have done. And they told me that they would even. They told me early on into the whole application process that they would have licenses for us, and it wouldn't take very long. So we'll bring all that out in court. We'll see how that all goes. Coming up in the summertime, we'll give you dates next week. In the meantime, go through the world loving life, because it's amazing. No matter what's going on, there's different sides to everything that happens. Try to have as little drama in your life as you can. I recommend that. Try to stay safe, but really look on the bright sides of things. Be optimistic, be hopeful about what the future will bring. Work at it. Plant seeds every day that'll help grow things that'll be of value in the future. Live a life that will help out yourself and help out your family and help out your society and all of humanity if you can. That's the challenge that I put out there to everybody. And I'll tell you, if you're doing anything to try to make that the case, you're loving life. You're loving what you're doing, because you're not just sitting back and complaining about how bad things are. You're actually out there doing something that can make a difference. And even the littlest of things can make a difference. Nobody can do it all. We all need to help each other. We all need to do little things here and there wherever we can. And if we all do that, we will eventually get to a much better world somewhere where it's love-based, where cannabis is encouraged and supported, not vilified and restricted. And that's just the one of a million and a myriad of things that can happen if we really did get a proper governing body here looking after our rights and who we are as people, and building our economy and having a thriving economy and all that stuff. Let's work on it. Let's spend a little bit of our time that we have. Let's make it like a tithe, that maybe 10% of the time that you have that's available to be spent on entertainment and distraction, you spend on just doing a little something to nudge things a little bit farther along the line of freedom and individual sovereignty and those sorts of things. Most of all, live a life of kindness, because we live in an echo chamber. And if you're kind to somebody else, you're being kind to yourself. And if you're not being kind to somebody, well, you're not being kind to yourself. And I recommend kindness. And I really recommend it where it's most difficult to come up with, where you've got to look at things from other points of view to be able to be kind to the people that you're dealing with because of whatever's going on in their life that it's so easy to be judgmental of. Recognize everybody's walked their own path, and you can't know the dangers and the phobias and the traumas that happened along the way to get them to where they are and who they are. If they're hard to be kind to, it's even more important to be kind to them. But be kind to everybody always. You don't need random acts of kindness. You need constant acts of kindness. Why would you only be kind on a random basis? That would be silly, especially when you are the benefactor of being kind in the first place. So be kind. And most of all, most important, life is short. It's way too serious to take too serious. Whatever it is that you're doing, don't do it from anger. Don't do it out of sadness. That can be part of the equation. But make sure that while you're going and doing that, your moments are fleeting. Any day could be your last. Have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.